Hello and welcome to Lost Love Mystery, where we explore the twists and turns of love, the pain of betrayal, and the mysteries that lie hidden in the heart. Giovanni Russo was the embodiment of power and precision. As one of Milan's most respected corporate lawyers, his sharp intellect and commanding presence made him a man others aspired to emulate. His marriage to Alessia had been the jewel of his life, a union that blended sophistication with an allure that had captivated everyone in their circle. Alessia, an art gallery manager with a keen eye for elegance, complemented Giovanni's ambition with grace and warmth. But over the past months, the harmony of their partnership began to falter. Alessia's laughter no longer carried the same sincerity, and her once open demeanor became shrouded in secrecy. Giovanni's sharp instincts, honed from years of reading between the lines in courtrooms, sensed a shift he couldn't ignore. She was hiding something. Alessia's late-night phone calls were abrupt, her whispered tones a stark contrast to the vibrant woman he had married. Her excuses about art gallery events grew repetitive and hollow. One evening, as she prepared to leave for one of these events, Giovanni noticed the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne clinging to her scarf. He chose not to confront her outright. Giovanni was a man of strategy. Instead, he began observing her with the meticulous care he reserved for unraveling corporate scandals. His suspicions turned into resolve when a casual conversation with a friend revealed Alessia had lied about her whereabouts. Alessia had claimed to be at the gallery, but Giovanni's friend had been there and hadn't seen her all evening. That night, Giovanni sat in their dimly lit bedroom, staring at her planner. Inside, he found a damning entry, a reservation for two at an exclusive spa on the very night she'd claimed to work late. The betrayal cut deep. Alessia's lies were not mere oversights. They were deliberate. Giovanni's hands trembled, but his mind sharpened. This was no time for emotional outbursts. He needed answers, and he needed them in a way that would leave no room for doubt. Determined to uncover the truth, Giovanni reached out to Luca, a private investigator who owed him a favor. As Luca began his discreet investigation, Giovanni steeled himself for what was to come, knowing that the foundation of his marriage had already begun to crumble. Giovanni spent the next week in quiet agony, awaiting the results of Luca's investigation. Each passing day felt like a lifetime as he meticulously maintained his composure, refusing to let Alessia suspect his growing suspicions. He observed her every move with the precision of a hunter stalking his prey, his alpha instincts refusing to allow weakness or hesitation. Finally, the envelope arrived. It lay on his desk, an unassuming package that carried the weight of his worst fears. Giovanni opened it slowly, his breath steady but shallow, and inside he found the proof he dreaded, a series of photographs that shattered his world. There she was, Alessia, his wife, laughing with another man, Matteo. The man was younger, carefree, and full of the kind of casual charm that Giovanni's disciplined life didn't allow. The images were intimate: stolen kisses, intertwined hands, candlelit dinners in secluded restaurants. Each picture was a knife to his chest, cutting through the love he had once held for her. The report was even worse. Luca had uncovered that this wasn't a fleeting affair but a relationship spanning over a year. Alessia had betrayed him systematically, building a parallel life with Matteo while sharing a home and vows with Giovanni. But Giovanni was not a man to crumble under the weight of betrayal. He was a strategist, a tactician. Emotion would not cloud his judgment. It would fuel his resolve. For days, he planned his next steps, ensuring that his response would not only expose Alessia's deceit, but dismantle the facade she had so carefully constructed. The opportunity presented itself when Giovanni overheard Alessia on the phone, arranging a rendezvous with Matteo at a secluded villa near Lake Como. Her voice carried the lightness he hadn't heard in months, a cruel reminder of what she had stolen from him. That night, Giovanni made a call to an old friend in the police force, explaining his need for discretion and impact. His plan was as precise as a courtroom argument. Alessia would be caught red-handed, and there would be no denying her betrayal. As Alessia and Matteo embraced in the dimly lit villa, police officers swarmed the property, arresting them both. Alessia's face contorted in shock and humiliation as she was led away in handcuffs, her glamorous evening dress a stark contrast to the disgrace she now faced. Giovanni watched from a distance, his expression cold and unreadable. The first step in reclaiming his life had been taken. The aftermath was swift and merciless. Milan's elite society buzzed with gossip, Alessia's name becoming synonymous with scandal and betrayal. The very people who once admired her now whispered about her downfall, their words cutting deeper than any blade. Giovanni filed for divorce immediately, ensuring every sordid detail was laid bare in the proceedings. He wasn't motivated by revenge. This was about justice, about restoring the balance that Alessia's lies had disrupted. Her reputation, once impeccable, lay in ruins. Matteo, unwilling to sacrifice his own standing, abandoned Alessia without hesitation. The man who had seemed so full of passion and excitement disappeared when faced with the harsh reality of public disgrace. Alessia was left utterly alone, her world crumbling around her. She lost her position at the gallery, the board unwilling to associate with someone so publicly tarnished. Friends distanced themselves, their loyalty proving as fragile as her carefully constructed image. Her luxurious home, once a sanctuary, became a prison where every corner reminded her of her failures. Giovanni, meanwhile, remained resolute. He threw himself into his work, his alpha persona unshaken by the emotional turmoil he endured. To the outside world, he appeared unscathed, but inside, he wrestled with the scars of betrayal. Late at night, he would sit in the quiet of his study, staring at the photographs that had changed his life, wondering how the woman he had loved could have done this to him. For Alessia, the isolation was unbearable. The weight of her choices bore down on her, each day more suffocating than the last. Her regret grew into a shadow that followed her everywhere, a constant reminder of the life she had destroyed. Weeks turned into months, and Alessia's mental state deteriorated. One evening, unable to bear the pain any longer, she made a dark decision. Alone in the echoing silence of her once lavish home, she penned a final letter to Giovanni, a mixture of apology and explanation, a plea for understanding that would come too late. Giovanni found the letter days later, delivered to him by a courier Alessia had arranged before her passing. He opened it with trepidation, the weight of its contents heavy in his hands. Her words were filled with sorrow, recounting the loneliness she had felt in their marriage, the longing for excitement that had led her to Matteo. She apologized profusely, begging for forgiveness she knew she didn't deserve. But as Giovanni read her words, he felt no solace. Her confessions were hollow, a too late attempt to undo the damage she had caused. Her betrayal had been deliberate, her choices calculated, and no amount of regret could erase the scars she had left on him. Still, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of sorrow. Alessia had been a part of his life for so long, her death an abrupt end to a chapter he had once thought would last forever. He folded the letter and placed it in a drawer, unwilling to let it linger in his mind any longer. Standing by the window of his penthouse, Giovanni gazed out at the city that had witnessed both his triumphs and heartbreak. For the first time in months, he felt a sense of peace. The betrayal, the anger, the sorrow, it had all run its course, leaving him with a clarity he hadn't known he needed. Il tempo rivela la verità, he murmured, his father's words echoing in his mind. Time reveals the truth, and it had. Giovanni turned away from the window, ready to face the future with renewed strength. The scars Alessia had left would remain, but they no longer defined him. He was a survivor, a man who had faced betrayal and emerged stronger. With each step he took, Giovanni moved closer to a life unburdened by lies, ready to embrace whatever came next with the unwavering confidence of the alpha he had always been. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and redemption, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lost Love Mystery. Your support helps us bring you more heartfelt tales like this one. Have a story of your own? Feel free to share it with us. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for more stories that touch the soul and remind us of the strength in every heart.